You're watching the Run For It YouTube channel. I'm Finlay, and in this episode we're going to be talking through the brand new Brooks Ghost Max 2 running shoes. We'll talk through the updates, who these are suited to, and what type of running we think they're best for. Hope you enjoy. As a recap, contrary to what some people might think, the Ghost Max 2 are not just a maximum cushion version of the popular Ghost running shoes. While they have a higher stack height, they have a lower drop, they have a much wider base, and they also have a curved heel-to-toe geometry named GlideRoll technology. But we'll come back to these technologies shortly when we cover who the Ghost Max 2 are best suited to. So let's cover the updates to the Brooks Ghost Max 2 running shoes, and this shouldn't take very long because there is one main change to these, and that is that the midsole has changed from Brooks's DNA Loft V2 cushioning to Brooks's DNA Loft V3. As many of you know, this is a nitrogen-infused foam which is lighter, softer, and more energy returning than the V2 version. So as a result, the Brooks Ghost Max 2 should feel softer and more comfortable underfoot than the previous version. The other main change is to the upper material, which should also improve comfort as it's a softer fabric, so should feel better against your feet. Now, going back to the other technologies which haven't changed since the first version, there are a few attributes that make the Ghost Max 2 very stable and ultimately more supportive than the Ghost. Firstly, the base of the shoe is very broad, and that makes it inherently stable. Next, the actual walls of the cushioning rise up around the side of your feet, which further increases support. And finally, there's a centrally decoupled heel design, as you can see there, which again adds stability to the midsole. And these are all really important points because it's key that the shape of the shoe matches your foot shape. That is the best way to improve your comfort and stability from running shoes. So to explain that further, if you have quite a broad midfoot section, then, well, in your feet that is, if you run in a shoe which is very narrow in that section of the shoe, chances are the comfort could be compromised slightly because your foot is almost too wide for the base of the shoe, and that might then reduce the stability that you feel from the midsole. So if you have a broader shaped foot, then especially in that midfoot area, the chances are a model like the Ghost Max 2 is going to suit you really well and create a really stable underfoot feel. And ultimately what we want to feel from our running shoes is a lot of comfort, but then we want to be quite unaware of the shoes on our feet. So on the flip side, if you have quite a narrow foot, particularly again in that midfoot area, you might find that the Ghost Max 2 are slightly too wide for you. And that actually may compromise the stability and the support on offer. So yes, even though the Ghost Max 2 are inherently more stable than the standard Ghost, it's not easy to just say that one's always going to be more stable than the other, because it's all about what's right for your feet. Additionally, the Ghost Max 2 are built on a linear last, and this is really important for those of you who use orthotics to run in. Quite often orthotic will be slightly wider in that midfoot section, and in a lot of running shoes the orthotic is just too wide for the shape of the shoe, so that means that people need to go up a little bit in their size. But even then you might find that the stability is compromised because the base of the shoe isn't complementing the shape of the orthotic, and at times we can see that insole rubbing through the actual upper fabric because it's just putting too much pressure on it. So for those of you, again, who run in an orthotic, a model like the Ghost Max 2 should actually be a very good option because the shape of the shoe should be a really good fit for your insole. And the final technology to cover on the Ghost Max 2 is the curved heel-to-toe geometry, or what Brooks refer to as GlideRoll technology. So what this curved heel-to-toe geometry does is help roll your feet forward from landing through to takeoff. And as a result, it should work really well for runners who have tight ankle joints and tight calf muscles, so stiff ankle joints, general lower leg tightness and stiffness. And why this should work is when we're running, we're obviously trying to move forward. Now, this action of moving the foot down and propelling us forward, plantar flexion, can be made slightly more challenging if you have tightness in the lower leg area. So what you often see with people, runners who have that tightness in the lower leg area, is if you were to look at the back of the shoe when they're running, usually their feet will be slightly turned out. And the reason for that is it is easier to roll the foot forward. So if you're trying to roll from there, it's a little bit more resistance, a little bit harder. So by turning the foot out, this abducted position, slightly less resistance, slightly easier. But the problem of that is that can create a little bit more instability at the feet and at the ankle joints, and obviously then some instability higher up the kinetic chain. So for example, at the knee joint. So by running in a shoe with this early stage rocker, that might actually then create more stability, because it might neutralize some of that abduction and internal rotation, and ultimately probably result in a slightly easier, slightly more comfortable run for you. So in summary then, the Brooks Ghost Max 2 should just feel more comfortable than the first version. And that's mainly down to the new improved midsole foam, which should feel softer and bouncier to run in. However, as the rest of the technologies remain the same, the overall ride experience should be very similar to the first version. So that means for those runners who really enjoyed running in the original Ghost Max, you should be able to transition into these ones with relative ease. We hope this episode has helped you understand the updates to the Brooks Ghost Max 2 and what and who they are best suited to. Thank you very much for watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. As always, if you have any questions at all, please comment on this video. See you soon.